Hi, boys and girls. We're back again. There have been a number of questions that Indiana's been telling me about plant hormones. Okay, now listen. And I really want to do this menstrual cycle question. Something's stopping us. It's like there's a force here. Okay.
I think it's called time.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, and go.
All right, here we go. Auxins. Auxins are plant hormones. Now, believe it or not, plants are wonderful little creatures. I know we're not all too fond of them, but we need them. We need them desperately, and they look pretty. Okay, Tammy, I know you're on the line. Just bear with me here. All right, so what we've got is this. We've got this little plant shoot that comes out of the ground. There it is. Okay, and as it comes out of the ground, we are going to put a box over it, and we're going to only give it light from one side. So when it's only getting light from one side, we say it is a unilateral light source. Okay, now they can do this in a pot plant, they can do it on a clinostat. The principle is the same. You've only got a unilateral light source from one side. So what happens is this little plant, the auxins, which are normally distributed all along the top of the growing tip, okay, normally they sit sort of spread out throughout. What happens is they do not like sunlight. So they then move to the shaded side. Okay, so let's do this in like a cartoon. Okay, this is step one. Then step two. Now it's only getting this unilateral light stimulus. So what happens is the auxins move here to the shaded side. Okay, and they cause these cells to get longer. So they cause cell elongation. And when they cause that cell elongation, this tip grows towards the light. Okay, because the auxins are on the shaded side and they cause the cells to get longer. Okay, if they do it with a pot plant and they use a clinostat, and a clinostat is a little thing that goes round and round and round and round in little ever-decreasing circles. Okay, so then they put the pot on here, and they've got the plant in a box with one hole. That's your unilateral light stimulus. So if the clinostat rotatus, okay? No, man, I've spelt this horribly wrong. Rotate. Okay, well, if it rotates, it means that the plant is getting light all the way around, because if the light's here, it's moving around and around and around and around, so the whole plant is getting light. So when the clinostat rotates, all right, it's going to make sure that the plant stays growing up, because there isn't a unilateral light stimulus, because as the light's coming in here, it's moving around all the time. When the clinostat, which will be in the control, is stationary, okay, then that plant goes nowhere, and the plant will then grow over. Sorry, it's not the control, that's the experiment. So that would be the experiment, and if it rotates, it is the control. All right, so here, if it's stationary, the plant is only going to get light from one side and is going to grow towards it. And this is one of those experiments you must know. So just make sure you remember, if the clinostat rotates, it's the control. But if it is stationary, just think of sex. Okay, think of sex. If it is stationary, it is the experiment. And that's how you remember it. Okay. Tammy, here we go.
Hello, Tammy.
How's it, Tums? All right.
Yeah.
Here we go. The diagram below shows the hormonal action during the menstrual cycle. Study the diagram and then answer the questions that follow.
Yeah.
Okay. Use your common sense. Now, I know, Tammy, you are clearly male.
Yeah.
All right. And you don't actually go through this. Okay. So it's I think, probably a little distant for you, but just use your common sense. A hormone has to tell the body to do something. Okay, the ovaries are not going to release eggs. They are not going to keep the egg there to grow if it's been fertilized, unless there is a hormone telling it to do so. Okay, so first thing, or the order, is that the pituitary gland is going to release a hormone called the follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, it stimulates this follicle, which is where the egg cell is. Okay, so it's going to stimulate that egg cell to get ripe and to undergo everything it's supposed to and get ready to be released here, all right, at this point here. So there's your follicle, and it is then released here at ovulation. Okay, but in order to get this hormone to be released, the follicle stimulating hormone, to get this egg to be released or the ovule to be released, we need a hormone called oestrogen. Now, the oestrogen is for ovulation. The estrogen is released by the ovary. Okay, so the pituitary gland releases follicle stimulating hormone, which stimulates the production of estrogen in the ovary to cause ovulation and the release of the ovule. I mean, for heaven's sake, you cannot mess this up. Okay, so it's your FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and then it's estrogen is released because of the follicle stimulating hormone, and the ovary is then stimulated to release or for ovulation to occur. Now the little egg is ready, and the little egg can now be fertilized. And it goes jubby into the fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. Anyway, while it's parking off here in the fallopian tube, if for some reason it is fertilized and there is a little spermie swimming around, okay, fertilization occurs. Then the little egg drops into the uterus, and the uterus has to be ready to support this baby. Okay, it's got to be ready to support it. So you've got to have this nice thick lining that is glandular and full of blood vessels, so it can supply that little thing with all the nutrients it needs. Because it's like a little parasite. Until a baby is born, it is a parasite. Well, not really. But, and that sounds awful, but it actually is. It's sitting here using every little bit of whatever you have, and it's taking that so it can grow, and then we give birth to our little babies. All right, so in the meantime, this whole process starts at day 1. And day 1 is when the uterus is all nice and clean. In other words, everything has broken away, torn away, and now the uterus systematically builds up from day 1. And it's because of estrogen that it is getting ready. And then we have this hormone here that is released because you see this ovule, as soon as it's released, this structure here, and now we go on to another part of the process, this little structure now becomes that structure there, and it's called the corpus
luteum.
That's right.
Okay.
And the little corpus luteum is getting ready to release a hormone which
LH.
is
LH.
progesterone. Okay, now that corpus luteum releases progesterone, but the corpus luteum, as soon as it is released, as soon as ovulation takes place, we are going to now release the luteinizing hormone, or LH, and that causes this corpus luteum to actually close up, and the corpus luteum now produces progesterone. Okay, now the progesterone makes sure that this lining stays thick and it stays ready, so that if this little egg is fertilized in the fallopian tube, that uterus is receptive and ready for the little egg to drop down, and for the whole placenta to form, and for that little baby to grow and develop over a period of 40 weeks. Okay, so what we look at here is on day 14, ovulation takes place. By day 28, if fertilization has not taken place, so if there is no fertilization, the corpus luteum will disintegrate. That's right. Okay, it just disintegrates into nothing. The luteinizing hormone level drops, the estrogen level drops, and that causes the lining to
Menstruation.
tear away. And
Yeah,
as that
that's
lining tears away, remember, it's very glandular, so there are lots of blood vessels. So
Oh, yeah.
if that little thing is going to start growing there, that little baby, that little bubbler that you've just created, if that's going to start growing there, it needs a very, very good blood supply. So now it stands to reason that if you take that and you tear it away, it's going to bleed like anything.
Oh,
And
yeah.
hence menstruation for 5 days. So your day 1 is the first day of menstruation.
All right.
And that's how you calculate your 28 days. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Happy.
Yeah, I am happy.
All right. So that's that whole process. So all these questions, name the hormones shown at A and F. At A would be your luteinizing hormone and F would be an estrogen. All you have to remember is this process. You see how this diagram does this?
Yeah.
That's it. So you've got your follicle stimulating hormone causes the ovary to release estrogen, and the estrogen causes ovulation, so the ovule is released. Now the ovule can be fertilized.
Fertilized.
Exactly. So when it is fertilized, everything is very lacquer and everything's perfect, and it goes zhoops, and the corpus luteum is formed because of the lutein. Look at this. It's the luteinizing.
Hormone. All right, luteinizing.
Luteinizing corpus luteum.
Okay.
You see? So the
Yeah.
luteinizing hormone causes the corpus luteum, which secretes the progesterone, which makes sure that that lining stays intact. If there is no fertilization, well, the corpus luteum disintegrates, so there's no progesterone produced anymore.
Okay, can I ask one question then?
Yes.
Okay, what's blastula?
The what?
Blastula.
Okay, no, a blastula is
Yeah.
when we have the sperm cell enters the egg cell, okay?
Okay.
That then grows. It undergoes mitosis,
Oh, yeah.
and that forms the blastula.
Okay.
You know what? I've got a textbook here. Just hold on. I just want to just show you. This is a diagram. If I was examining you, okay, can we just see if you can make this,
Yeah.
can you see it? This is a diagram most textbooks have, where you've got the different concentrations of your luteinizing hormone, your follicle stimulating hormone, which then is your estrogen and your progesterone. Remember, estrogen is released by the ovary. And your progesterone as well, but that's specifically your corpus luteum. It tells you the thickness of the lining, okay? And then, so you've got your menstruation here and your menstruation here, and there's the development of the corpus luteum.
Endometrium.
Yes. Okay. But now, where's the one that I wanted to show you? This one. And this is a lovely diagram to put into an exam, because what you do here is you can actually test ovulation, and the fact that the learners know that once ovulation has taken place at approximately day 14, you are now sitting with a corpus luteum forming.
Okay.
So, it then goes in via the fimbriae, which make like a movement, and then the little egg goes all the way up the fallopian tube. This is where fertilization takes place. And you end up with what they call a tube pregnancy, is when this little egg has been fertilized, but it doesn't now move down. And there's your blastula. All right.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then it undergoes all its divisions, and now it's ready to settle into and attach into the placenta. You follow?
Oh, okay, I follow.
Okay. And that, people, is that. Okay. As
simple
they
as
say,
that.
yeah, it's as simple as that. So just remember, follicle stimulating hormone, estrogen, ovulation.
Okay.
Luteinizing hormone, corpus luteum, progesterone.
Okay.
No fertilization, we start again.
All right. But exactly, progesterone is maintaining a pregnancy.
That's right.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, the easiest way to remember, because you're actually releasing both, but you've got more progesterone.
Yeah.
So think of it as estrogen, oestrogen is ovulation, OO, and progesterone is from the corpus luteum, and it's pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we've got the diagram again. Here's another question. Which process is taking place at E? Well, we've already established that's ovulation. And explain why the lining of the uterus needs to be repaired and maintained. Well, think about it, for heaven's sake, people. Where does that little fertilized egg, okay, that little embryo, where does it grow? It grows in the uterus. And you know, all the diagrams of the uterus, I used to teach at King Edward's many, many, many years ago.
I can imagine the boys.
And those boys, and they'd say to me, ma'am, how big is a uterus? Because when you look at the textbook, they think it's like the whole, like the entire stomach area of a woman is the uterus. It's not. It's a tiny little thing that's sort of that shape. This what I've done here, that's the shape of a uterus. That's the uterus, the whole uterus. Okay, it's the uterus that grows to have this huge big tummy. But I think a lot of people sort of think that this uterus is the thing this size. You know, it's not. It's tiny. It's a tiny little structure. Okay, let's just see if there's one more question here. Name the hormone produced at C after day 14. It's going to be progesterone. I mean, it's 2 marks. These are marks for jam, man. Okay, explain when and why hormone H. Let's just check hormone H is, okay, that's your follicle stimulating hormone, will not be produced and secreted in a healthy woman. When won't it? When she is pregnant.
Yeah, because there will be no need for more estrogen when the woman is pregnant.
But can you imagine? She's pregnant. The baby's like sitting there in the uterus. It's like ready to grow. Life is good. We now have a new life there. And the follicle stimulating hormone says, oi, ovary, can the other ovary release an egg cell? I mean, for heaven's sake, us women will be pregnant for our whole lives. I mean, we'll literally have one out and there'll be 7 others growing, waiting in anticipation. No. So the minute pregnancy takes place, your follicle stimulating hormone it's inhibited. It stops it from being produced. All right.
Oh, yeah.
No longer produced. Why? Because you can't have another egg being released, and that's its job.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Cool bananas. I'm excited. We're going to go for an ad break, and then I've got a population of baboons here. So that's the next question.
A quick 10-second question. It's basically about the pill. We've basically been phoned, and they said, how does, particularly the pill, like how does it, like birth control, how does that
Okay, no. The pill and birth control are very, very different things. Okay, there are lots of different types of birth control. Okay, condoms are a form of birth control. And condoms, by the way, if used correctly and they don't have holes in them, are actually as close to 100% as you can get. All right. But what the pill does is it controls your estrogen and progesterone levels and messes them up. Okay, so that you end up with the one inhibiting the other so that the egg never ever gets released. So some pills work where ovulation doesn't happen, and other pills work where ovulation does happen, but no fertilization occurs. Okay, so no estrogen is produced by the corpus luteum. So you've got, that's why all the different types of pill, the pill that is on the market, what may work for you may not work for me, may not work for the next girl. I'll get fat and bloated, and I'll get pimples, and another one will clear your skin. So it's very specific to your body and the way your body functions. But you've got different types of pill. But basically what they do is they prevent the egg from attaching into the uterus, because there is no uterus. Okay.
Fantastic. Should we go to a break and come back?
Let's go for a break, and we'll see you all in a minute.
See you in a minute.